Hi, it's Alderwoman Lenny Mana Hoppenworth of the 48th Ward, Uptown and Edgewater. And my family immigrated here from Baguio, the mountain province, because they were seeking a better life for themselves and their families. But now we're living in this moment where the American dream is really of lies and deceit right now. We're living in a moment of fascism where people are being taken off of the streets just because they are doing their laundry or because they are working as a landscaper or because they look brown. And so our federal government is weaponizing our forces against us. And this is the most important time for us to come together. So I'm very glad to be here with Narissa and Tango Migrante, and also the many different organizations, especially led by young people right now, who are saying that solidarity and working with each other in centering love and respect and dignity for human beings is what we need to do right now, because this is not a time that they are really addressing immigration reform. This is about wiping people off the street because they look different from them. So we cannot rest until we are all safe, and we're doing that now very hyper locally with all of the organizations that are worried about our students, our older adults, and families. We need to keep them together. Thank you to everybody, especially in the Filipino community, who are finding their voices right now. Too long, the Filipino community has been hidden. But truly, we have been here the whole time. And now is not the time to stand on the sidelines. It's the time to come together and to find each other, because the only way that we are going to resist fascism and tyranny is by working together in love.
Thank you very much, Alderman Hoppenport, for this opportunity to be interviewed by Joseph Lariosa of PelamMessenger.net.
That the political education actually is what Kuya Anong was referring, like understanding our history, understanding why we are forcibly migrating to another country to find jobs. Those are all very important, and I know Kabataan Alliance and Akbayan are doing that, but I think the challenge also is for us, the young at heart, they, just to be straightforward with it, they are a part of the colonial mentality, actually, that Kuya Anam was sharing. It's time actually of heart already to change their mindset, but there are probably other ways we can unite with them. But who knows? We just have to keep on trying. Storytelling, other creative ways. Yeah. So I think unless our elder person have, a message just to wrap up. And thanking you for everything also.
Right. I'll go first and you want to go first. I'll be brief. Thank you. Just want to thank everybody for being here. It's very important that we make a difference right now in our own communities. I would like to just invite us to be part of a coalition. I heard about, for instance, there are issues in terms of, for instance, even the ISAR line, because it gets saturated sometimes. So it is important that we acknowledge that, and it's important that we don't turn against each other, but turn on each other for help. So yes, there are issues that we continue to help each other out, and I think we need more volunteers, more people. We also reaching out to other communities, the Muslim communities, the Black communities, all the communities that are being affected, all working class people. So I'd like to invite, I just sent a message to Nerissa about inviting, we have a new coalition, it's called the Chicago United Families Coalition. It's intended to kind of look at gaps that we have in each community. I encourage each community to be a base of resistance and care and help for each other. Each church is a school. Sometimes it takes one step and the rest of the people will see a community around it. So we've seen schools coming together, one school starts setting up like a model of, for instance, how we can alert each other when there's ICE presence, right? We just passed a resolution in City Council, and I'm grateful for Alderperson Manahapenworth to support this as well. So what is a good radius, for instance, for us to be alerted but not be in constant fear? So there's a resolution, for instance, that laid the ground of prohibiting all type of child endangerment. We see now the state and other county and others follow. But these coalitions are important because it makes a difference, as the attorney said, when we have a full room of people in courts, full room of people in the legislative body, full room of people in the church when someone is being attacked or harmed. So this is very important in how we help each other when that happens, so that we all respond on a call for help, whatever there is in the city. So I encourage, I think this is a great place to have a great conversation. Your local church, your local school, your local community center. By joining these efforts, I'm really uplifted by seeing how many people are here. We can make the difference. This is a powerful room. So I might send you, Neri, an invitation from the Chicago United Families Coalition, because we need more faith leaders, more labor leaders, more elected leaders to be on the front lines and protect those vulnerable. And here in this room, I see a lot of power of how we can do this, a very local effort. So I'll send you, Neri, the invitation of how we can build a network. And yes, sometimes if the hotline is having issues, how we can help connect our local efforts to these citywide and statewide efforts. But I tell you, Chicago is fighting, and it's fighting hard, and I'm proud to be here with you today. We help each other, and we all keep each other safe. Thank you very much.
Auntie Lynn, sorry, I was going to say Ligaya Jensen, that is not it. Auntie Lynn, Kuya Max, we were able to also, free them from detention through community support. They had folks outside of the Northwest Detention Center constantly, right, and supporting them, making calls with them, and this is them being reunited with their families. But we know that there's also ongoing cases right now. In the case of Kuya G, whose toe actually recently got amputated, and he had also, he's been complaining for months on end about, the certain medical conditions that he was facing in detention, but no one was listening to him until after his foot had to be amputated. He was finally taken to the hospital after, weeks and weeks of folks calling and folks trying to pressure the consulate to do something about his medical condition. And actually we just learned, not too long ago that he actually had to go through a colonoscopy, and he is in really, really dire medical attention. And we also know that folks had to spend days in the emergency room because of the medical neglect that he faced in detention, and he was just deported, and the consulate did not actually do anything to support, they had to pay so much money in these emergency room bills because, the healthcare in the Philippines is also pretty bad. And so, we also have Ligaya Jensen here. There's a video, but I won't play it, who, was also deported. And this video is from March of this year. She's also safely back in the Philippines, and she continues to speak out, right, about the detention and about all of the things that she's been facing. And this also shows that when folks go back to the Philippines, right, they don't stop fighting back, that they continue to speak up, that they continue to seek justice, and being deported is not the end to the story. But yeah, I will stop at that, and we will open the forum right now. And so I'm going to welcome Attorney Louise up to the stage for some reflection.
Thank you, Louise. It's very fun to have another Louise in my life. It doesn't happen a lot. I'm Louise Carhart. I'm an immigration attorney here in Chicago, and I do a lot of deportation defense. I got plugged into Tanggol because Narissa and I are both part of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. And we are working with communities in Little Village and Pilsen mainly, but all across the city in terms of rapid response and know your rights. But in my job as an immigration attorney, I have represented a lot of Thonville clients, and the outpouring of support that I've seen that comes from Thonville it has been a huge factor in a lot of the cases that I've represented people in, that I've seen across the country, especially with Tito Ernie's case. We had, like was said, we had 60 people in the courtroom and 60 people online, and the judge had never seen anything like that. And I've been to other hearings, I have never had that many people at a hearing. And it makes a huge difference because I think people think of immigration court as very similar to criminal court, and it is not. It is the things that they emphasize, that they look at, are very different than what criminal court is looking at. So this kind of community support is actually a huge discretionary factor for these judges, and it makes a huge impact when I'm up there saying, this person is a huge part of this community, and the community's actually there. It's very hard, I've gone to hearings where it's just me and my client, and it's very hard to make a case and say, this person has the support of his family and his community, but no one's in the courtroom. So having people show up, there are usually three factors that go into granting a case, and that kind of community support, that kind of show that this person is not a threat to the United States, it's not a threat to the public, it's hard to prove a negative, right? So we have to get creative, and having people show up is one of the best ways. Having people write letters and being able to show up to court with a huge filing with hundreds of pages of letters makes a huge difference. And this kind of organizing is not really happening outside of Thonville and is not really happening for immigration court. So much of immigration court happens outside of the regular law and in the margins of our regulatory system, because it is so controlled by the president, it's so controlled by one branch of power, so changes happen overnight. It's very subject to whims of judges and appellate boards, and it's hard to keep up with. So having a community that you can fall back on makes a huge difference in convincing a judge that you deserve to stay in the United States. And I hate
to the cause, and it's really low lift. Also, if you want to meet the migrant detainees, right? We do calls with them just to lift up their spirits and to ensure that.
Do you want to volunteer or donate? Please contact Tanggol Migrante below.
I work as a mental health professional, and stigma on immigration is about the same as the stigma on mental health. It's very isolated. So one thing that we did is actually, you mentioned about the hotline, and you said the hotline is used to provide know your rights. But when someone, to me, it's like trying to hurt yourself, trying to commit, right? You really need a structural system. To me, migration is about the same thing as trying to commit suicide, right? Oh, I think you can hear me, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what my point is, I had clients who their parents are actually undocumented, and the children goes to grocery shopping. These are basic stuff, like in Albany, they couldn't do their laundry because they're scared. They couldn't take their children to walk, and they don't really, same thing as mental health. You cannot really trust anybody. So my point is there a hotline that is so safe that me as an undocumented person can call? Oh, this is the Albany hotline. I need help to get my grocery because I don't have. I'm alone right now, and I'm just stuck here in the basement. can someone help me get my groceries? Can someone, the basic stuff. And oh, by the way, I would rather just fly out and would save my money and just voluntarily. Is there a way that we could process this dilemma that I have right now instead of just knowing my rights? Like basic stuff that our neighbors are actually could reach out and do things. And I'm not sure if this is going on, and this is probably with our other people. You know, if you guys have that in your own community, that is a hotline in that community that you could distribute and give it to everyone. That's all. Thank you.
For those who need help, you can contact Tanggol Migrante below. For those in need of legal assistance, they can contact ICER or Illinois Coalition for Immigrants and Refugee Rights below. According to Know Your Rights of the ICER, regardless of immigration status, if agents knock on your door, number 1, remain calm. Do not run or make any sudden movements. Keep your hands where the agents can see them. You have the right to deny entry without a valid warrant signed by a judge. You can ask the agents if they have a warrant. If they say they have a warrant, you can ask them to slide the warrant under the door or hold it against the window. ICE agents can require you to let them in only if they have a valid warrant. To be valid, the warrant must have, number 1, your correct name and address. Number 2, a valid date. And number 3, the signature of a judge. Number 3, you have the right to remain silent. You can say, I wish to exercise my right to remain silent and refuse to answer any questions. You can refuse to provide any documents or information regarding where you were born, when, or how you arrived in this country. Do not lie. Number 4, you have the right to speak with an attorney. You can say, I wish to speak with an attorney. You can call the ICER Family Support Hotline below or your attorney. And number 5, you have the right to not sign anything.
Are they all Philippine organizations or do you partner also with other communities? Since you're helping also other nationalities, do you have partners also in other communities? Yeah? Okay, that's good.
Yes, and through the International Migrants Alliance, which is global, that's why it's easier because, for example, we partner with the Venezuelan organizations. We also have counterparts in Venezuela or even in Honduras. There are organizations here in Honduras also connecting to Honduras. That's why all this, the deportation process. So there's like an exchange, and then some churches are helping in it. Some grassroots organization. So things are kind of like we're just trying to play the piano well and orchestrate the harmonious solidarity work. But right now it's really hard on the volunteers also because we need to do more fundraising because all this rapid response, all this ICE Watch, we have volunteers who are, many of them are students, college students, and they needed also support. So we have been really like being independent, there's no funding officially, all that kind of stuff. We partner with centers and institutions, but right now that will be one of the things that we need to answer or address. Yeah. I'll just give the, to other questions.
The Tanggol Marigate about educational program. And touching on that, we have heard about the problem about the border wherein people are coming in homes. And they said one of the best solutions is make the economy in the origin country to make it good enough for people to stay so they don't have to go to the United States. That's probably one solution that we should look as Filipino Americans for the Philippines. And I'll touch on the portion that our Alderman Lenny had mentioned about her presence at the Chicago American Historical Society. Let's include in the educational campaign of the Tanggol Marigate about learning about why there are more than 2 million Filipinos in the United States in the first place, why we are one of the biggest immigrants in the Philippines, why are Filipinos running, why, how come the Japanese are staying in Japan and not the Filipinos. But the thing is that we haven't learned the history behind all this phenomenon, like our country being aborted at the turn of the last century because of the fight of our heroes and the coming of the United States in the Philippines. It's a question of colonialism. You know, I have a fellow worker who commented about the activists being in the streets. We are passing Michigan Avenue, and I pointed that I know most of those people because we're coming from the museum. He said, walang mga utang na loob yan, pinapasok ng United States. Tingnan mo naman kung ano-anong pinagsasabi against the United States, which is a very sad commentary, and it only I will say that a commentary about her knowledge about our history. Ang sabi ko sa kanya, Perla. Okay, that's the name. Ano ba ako dumating dito, graduate ako ng architecture. You know, could you imagine, I've been in the primary school, elementary school, high school, and college. How much in the United States to educate like me to graduate from architecture? And look, I said, anong ginagawa ko dito? I'm a draftsman. You see, how much investment in a country like the Philippines, like me, to be able to work as a draftsman here in the United States. At hindi ako pinapasok dito kung hindi nila kailangan ng draftsman. It's all a need. You know, it's a form of neo-colonialism thing about third world country. That's why the Philippines is kept poor. That's one key. Do you understand that? I said, you know, just like you. You know, you are a physical therapist. How much was invested by your parents up to your graduation from UST? I said, you know, and you came here. You know, they did not have to spend tax money to educate you in the United States. And you are ready-made for the needs for physical therapists here, here in the United States. It's a form of colonialism that is continuing. And study this, the history of Central America on how the big entrepreneurs have exploited this country. That's why they are so backward. That's why they are so poor. You know, I'm just saying this because we have enablers who keep on voting things like people like Trump is the savior for the situation, economic situation in the Philippines and in the United States. Like they like him, but they don't understand the politics. Like for instance, I said, I came here and bought Marcos because Marcos is being protected by the United States because of the US bases in the Philippines. He is so corrupt and he is reputed to be one of the most, he and his wife are the richest country because of their corruption. And that is a root of backwardness and poverty in the Philippines. That's why people like us, you and me, are coming to the United States because there's no economic opportunity in the Philippines. You know, these things I'm just mentioning is that it's not to rattle up like activist lingo to hate the United States, but we have to understand this in the educational concept, not just education about knowing your rights so you can avoid ICE, but we have to go back, just like what Alderman Lenny has said. It's important to know our history, and we need to have a conversation on that and knowledge, so we will know that hopefully in the future the Philippines is prosperous enough to maintain its people there, and they don't have to go to the United States, go into the indignity of being run after by the ICE. Thank you.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Ang tao, ang bayan, ngayon ay lumalaban. Ang tao, ang bayan, ngayon ay lumalaban.
Videography, editing, and reporting. This is Joseph Gilariosa of PhilamMessenger.net. If you like this video, please subscribe so we can bring you more community events like this. Thank you.